Okay, so I'm Raven Nicole Smith, and I'm a paper artist, usually based around nature, flowers and plants and things of that sort. I started making art, the first time I was recognized for it was in the 9th grade. So, no, I'm sorry, the 3rd grade. So I was 9 years old. And that first project was actually it was like a paper collage. We had to choose something. So I did a still life of like a bowl of fruit. And my teacher was so psyched about it, put it in the show. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do art, you know? So that was the first moment. And I always was kind of a kid who, even my babysitters would always just do crafts and things like that. But when it really started professionally and seriously was in high school. My family, my parents were super supportive, and so they pushed me to kind of go to the art school that was around town. And so I went to art high school, learned about all the different mediums, realized it was something that I loved doing. And it wasn't until I moved to Charlottesville that I started to pursue art freelance. But then BCU is where I learned the art of paper, which I was telling you about, a class that it was a one-off class, and I was doing watercolor at the time, but this seemed just as whimsical. And so the teacher taught us how to use paper as a primary medium. And we learned a few different ways that you can incorporate paper, and I just kind of fell in love with it then. And I've been doing it professionally, I'll say, for oh gosh, maybe 8 years now. So it's been years of fine-tuning it and getting to this point that I'm at now. I think a lot of it was color, and I was always this outdoor kid doing things on my own. So in Florida, I was outside playing, and nature was all around me where we had our home. And so I was inspired by the insects, the animals, the plants, everything there. And then I visited Belize when I was, I think I was the youngest. I was 9, and I kind of went every couple of years. That's where my mom is from. And so when I went there, the tropical of Florida just kind of expanded in Belize. It was just so many different textures and colors and just beautiful plants. And then that beauty was just something that I was always inspired by and always felt right in that environment. So it's just inspirational to go outside and just from when I was a kid to even now. Ooh, so that's something I've been experimenting with lately. So I found a cardstock that I really love using because it's thin enough to be molded and shaped, but thick enough to stay in its shape. And so I've been using that for a while. I realized I could also paint on it, so it's just the perfect cardstock that I use. And recently, my last few projects, and from this point on, I think I've been using handmade paper, not made by myself just yet. I've used small projects where I make small pieces of handmade paper, but I use them in backgrounds and maybe to add a little bit of texture here and there. It's not the best to fold and shape with, but different textures of paper make for a lot of variety, and the variety of kind of mixing different plants and also perspective. You can use it in a lot of different ways. So I've been playing a lot with handmade paper. The cardstock is the OG. So I don't know how I stumbled into this. I think I was doing screen printing at the time, and I just had the ink. So I use a roller brush and screen printing ink. And it's very close to acrylic. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is, but I just know it reacts really well with the paper, especially if you find the right balance of the amount to use. So that's been working well. Can I show you? Yeah. Okay, that might be easier. Okay, favorite tools, I think, because I stumbled upon, I'm not even sure what they're called. I'm gonna call them like fondant rollers.
Mm.
I was watching someone do cake decorating, and they used these metal balls and they rolled it, and they were making petals, and just one roll made this beautiful organic just curve to the fondant that they were using. And so I think I put together that I can do the same thing with paper. And ever since, it's like changed the game. Like you can roll it, shape it, and all that good stuff just with these like different shapes and everything like that.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome to kind of cross these completely different fields of making. You know, you've got baking and then, you know, paper making or paper art, and you can use the same tools and techniques with them. That's such a good question. It's something that I kind of know when I'm making it. It's funny because it's like, yeah, when you're creating, like there's some techniques where you literally fold something, the paper in half, cut a couple petals, and then when you unfold it, it's symmetrical, you know. And I don't love that as much. Like I used to, sometimes I would use a Cricut machine and it would cut things for me that I've designed, but it was too perfect. And I was just like, I do like cutting things by hand and with the X-Acto knife because there's the symmetry, but there's imperfection. As far as composition goes, I just know when I place something and how it works and how they interact with each other in the piece. And I don't overthink it because I know nature will have both symmetry and asymmetry, you know, so it's going to fall in line visually in my head, but also just realistically, it'll make sense. So I just kind of go with the flow. Ooh, so I think a lot of it is I would go online or Pinterest or galleries and see what artists are doing and be inspired by so many different things. Like it was hard for me to really focus on one thing for a while, but paper was always the common denominator. So I just decided to explore and just keep trying new things. Like I tried cutting out letters, I mixed watercolor with paper, and just kept going with that until I wish I can remember the exact moment where I remember like, let me remove the watercolor and just add the flower. And then I did one piece where I couldn't find the color that matched the background of the paper that I found. So I had to paint it. And I think it was a mentor that was like, this is awesome. Like, look at the texture, look at the dimension. And I was like, you're right, that's actually really cool. And then that opened so many doors of painting and texture and, you know, again, more exploring. So that I've been doing for maybe a few years, and I haven't even touched the surface of it. So it's just exploring this kind of you know, this trajectory right now. Oh yeah, I do. And I think a lot of them have been on Instagram, honestly. Artists like goodness, I think her name is Akira Studio. She's a paper artist, and oh goodness, I can't remember the names. So visual. That's the probably so visual is that like I see them. But there was actually one. Her name was Sarah Bennings that I actually just followed too. She's an embroiderer, and so different mediums like textiles, and oh, Nastasha Swift also. She's a local artist who does felt. Love her work too. So yeah. That path is not like a line, like a progress, you know, a steady increase. It's up and down. So when I moved to Charlottesville, I had the opportunity. I didn't have to work immediately, and so I would take my illustrations and sell them at markets or go around to different like cutesy stuff that would work with my work, like with my art. And so like I sold my stuff at cupcake shops and things like that. And that was actually pretty good for a while. And you know, I always had the job with the art that I was making. And it was easier to make art when I didn't have a job, but there's a part of reality that I need to just accept. I will say, like, you know, when I realized, hey, it's time to go back to school. I was in Charlottesville, realized VCU is right there. Let me just continue school. And then after VCU, I realized that there's a lot of options, and I've been doing a lot of group shows at first is what I started doing, and then the people I meet there would want commissions, and I would do that along with my side job as well. And since then, it's been a lot of, hey, you know, do you want to do another group show? Which comes with commissions, meeting new people. I taught some children. I taught children's. I had residencies as well. So it was like a mixture of trying different things, but also getting income along the way. And just recently, I'm working with Von Millen Gallery, and they kind of pick up my art occasionally and help me sell it as well. So that was actually really a blessing too. But that came from selling my art at an auction that 1708 Gallery had. So like little things like that started to happen. And what's great about the galleries here is that they are open to artists, all artists, you know, so I was able to just kind of keep riding that wave. Yeah, me and social media have a tumultuous relationship. You know, I think it's really important. It's something that I struggled with at first. Actually, no, I loved it at first, but it's very time consuming. And there was a point in my life where I was putting too much pressure on myself to grow on social media. And so it made me stop. And I thought stopping was actually worse than just doing a few things here and there. So even though I'm not exactly where I would probably want to be social media, I'm at a place where I'm okay with being, because of time and effort, and chasing the algorithm never felt right to me. So I do think it's important. I'm never going to stop, you know, showing people what it is that I enjoy doing, because I think that's what's important about it. Showing people what you love, your passions, a little bit about yourself, and that develops relationships with people you would have never thought, you know, and especially artists that I meet on there too. Like those relationships I want to nurture. So I'll keep showing them. I'm still in it. I feel like such a young artist still. But I feel like if I were to give people actual inspiration and, you know, advice of what to do, is keep showing up. Because not everything is going to feel aligned or right or correct, but you know, if you do what you love, it's just kind of something that is it's just gonna feel the most fulfilling.